thank you for joining us. I'm Wilson Stribling. Welcome to another edition of At Issue, where we discuss and debate the critical issues facing the state of Mississippi and how these issues impact you. And we want you to share your opinions and comments with us. Just go to facebook.com/MPB Online News, and on Twitter, our handle is @IssueMPB. Now to improving special education. It was a big part of Governor Bryant's State of the State address. As At Issue's Paul Boger tells us, there are a few ideas on the table to help students with special needs and their parents.
We are losing ground in our battle to serve special needs children.
The need to support and improve special education for Mississippi school children appears to be an early priority for this legislative session. State Senator Nancy Collins says she's spoken with special needs parents and they need help.
And when they find out that they're not getting what they feel like their child needs, they have only got two options. One option is to go through the system, and usually if they continue to pursue it, that means a due process and a legal battle. And so many of them have limited resources. So they cannot afford to spend their money on something that may not turn out for them. The other option that they have presently is for them just to accept where they are and settle. And so my concern is they need to have another option.
The most talked about bill calls for special needs vouchers. This would grant $7,000 to parents to withdraw their child from public school, to seek private school, or find services appropriate for the child.
Well, there would be a cap at 500 children the first year. The way it would function is a parent would withdraw their child from the public school, and then they would customize that child's education, and if they need rehab, if they need whatever they need, they would customize that with the $7,000 that would come out of the general fund.
I think there's a better way to fix this problem, and it's the special needs voucher bills that I've seen have been, I think, too broad. For instance, they include children that have hearing and speech problems, and as I understand it, that group of children are being adequately served in our public school systems right now. So why would we want to allow those folks to have $6,000 or $7,000 voucher and take that money and go to a private school when they're already being adequately served?
An alternative bill, introduced by State Representative Nick Bain, would create a special education line item in the state budget to keep money needed to support special needs resources and programs in the public school system.
Three main points are that it would separate the teacher funding piece out of MAEP and ensure that all of our teacher units are funded at a full rate to make sure that we're able to provide more individual services for our children with disabilities in our schools. The second point is that it would allow for an autism coordinator in our state to work across our state with other agencies to improve the services that we do provide for children with autism specifically. And then the third point is that it would establish a special education general fund that would help our families with other needs that we may not be able to provide within the scope of our Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act, but would be things that they could help with respite care or some other tutoring outside of what we do with the educational services.
Wendy Rogers is the Director of Special Services in the Stone County School District and the President of the Council of Administrators of Special Education in Mississippi.
We have been underfunded from the federal level and from the state level. When MAEP is underfunded, it takes away from all of our teacher units, and our students are students first. Then they happen to be a child with a disability that needs additional services. That's just the reality, that they will need additional services to get the benefits from the educational process and to reach their full potential.
Another separate bill is aimed at assisting parents by offering legal advice during hearings for special needs students' individual education plan. 3 offices for Special Needs Counsel would be created in the northern, central, and southern districts. Attorneys would be available to families during the hearing process.
What happens inevitably in these meetings is that the school district has resources and they bring in an attorney representing the school district. So the parents sitting there, or the two parents in some cases, sitting there with nobody to advise them. The school district's got specialized legal advice in this area of the law, so the parents really feel a little bit overwhelmed. They're not quite sure what their rights and what their remedies might be.
I think everybody would agree that if we have the money and we can provide these type of services for this group of folks, that we ought to do it.
For At Issue, I'm Paul Boger.
The House also passed a measure this week that would allow special needs students to qualify for graduation upon completion of their individual education plan.